Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel is dedicated to practical, research-backed health information specifically for adults over 60 and the families who love them. We don't do hype. We don't do miracle cures. What we do is dig into the science, pull out what actually matters, and put it in language that makes sense. Today, we're talking about something deceptively simple, a bedtime tea ritual practiced across cultures for centuries, now validated by modern oncology research and immunology studies published in journals like Cancer Prevention Research, the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry, and Phytomedicine. We're going to walk through exactly what to drink, how to prepare it, why nighttime matters more than morning for this particular remedy, and the specific biological mechanisms that make it so effective against chronic inflammation and abnormal cell growth. Now, a quick but important note before we dive in. Nothing in this video replaces your physician's guidance. If you're undergoing cancer treatment or managing a chronic condition, talk to your doctor before changing anything. This information is meant to empower you, not to override professional medical care. With that said, let's get into it. To understand why this tea works, you first need to understand what's actually happening inside your body as you age. And I promise to keep this plain and simple. After the age of 60, your immune system starts behaving differently. Doctors call it inflammaging, a slow, chronic, low-grade inflammation that simmers beneath the surface year after year. You don't spike a fever, you don't feel a sharp pain, but your C-reactive protein levels creep upward. Your joints get a little stiffer each morning. Your digestion becomes unpredictable. Maybe your sleep quality has quietly deteriorated over the last 5 or 10 years, and you just chalked it up to getting older. Here's the part most people miss. That background inflammation isn't just uncomfortable, it's a fertilizer for disease. Chronic inflammation creates an environment where abnormal cells, the kind your immune system would normally identify and destroy, get a free pass. They slip through. They multiply. They form tiny clusters that your body's defense system is too distracted, too overworked, too inflamed to catch. A landmark 2019 study from the National Cancer Institute confirmed what researchers had suspected for decades. Persistent low-grade inflammation is directly linked to increased cancer risk in adults over 60, particularly colorectal, breast, prostate, and lung cancers. The connection isn't theoretical. It's measurable in blood markers, tissue samples, and long-term population studies spanning tens of thousands of participants. So the question becomes practical. What can you actually do about it? Tonight, in your own kitchen, without a prescription, without side effects, without spending a fortune. That brings us to the tea. The tea we're focusing on is a specific blend of 3 ingredients, each supported independently by clinical research, but remarkably more effective when combined. Those 3 ingredients are turmeric root, green tea leaves, and ginger root. Let me break down each one. Ingredient 1, turmeric. The active compound in turmeric is called curcumin. You've probably heard of it. But what you may not know is that curcumin has been the subject of over 12,000 peer-reviewed studies. 12,000. That's not folk medicine. That's one of the most researched natural compounds in the history of biochemistry. Curcumin works by inhibiting a protein complex in your cells called NF-κB. Think of NF-κB as an alarm switch. When it's activated, it tells your body to produce inflammatory chemicals, cytokines, enzymes, molecules that cause swelling, pain, and tissue damage. Curcumin essentially turns that alarm down, not off. Your body still needs some inflammation to heal wounds and fight infections, but down to a level where it stops feeding disease. Here's the critical detail most health channels leave out. Curcumin on its own absorbs poorly into your bloodstream. Your liver metabolizes it too quickly. But when you combine it with a compound called piperine, found in ordinary black pepper, absorption increases by up to 2,000%. That's not a typo. 20 times more curcumin reaches your cells. So when we get to the recipe, you'll see why a small pinch of black pepper is non-negotiable. Ingredient 2. Green tea. Specifically, we're interested in a catechin called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate. Don't worry about remembering that name. What matters is what it does. EGCG has demonstrated a remarkable ability to induce apoptosis in abnormal cells. Apoptosis is your body's built-in self-destruct sequence for damaged or dangerous cells. Healthy cells go through it all the time. It's routine maintenance. But cancer cells learn to dodge apoptosis. They switch off the self-destruct mechanism and keep dividing. EGCG, according to research published in Molecular Nutrition and Food Research, can reactivate that mechanism in certain cancer cell lines. It flips the switch back on. A 2020 study out of Kyoto University showed that regular green tea consumption was associated with a 20 to 30% reduction in colorectal cancer risk among adults over 55. Another study, published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition, linked daily green tea intake to lower levels of inflammatory markers, including interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha, two of the primary drivers of chronic inflammation. Ingredient 3. Ginger. Fresh ginger root contains compounds called gingerols and shogaols, both potent anti-inflammatory agents. Ginger targets a different inflammatory pathway than turmeric. It suppresses prostaglandin synthesis, which is the same mechanism targeted by over-the-counter painkillers like ibuprofen, but without the gastrointestinal side effects that make long-term NSAID use risky for seniors. A study from the University of Michigan found that gingerols also reduced proliferation markers in ovarian cancer cell cultures. The researchers specifically noted that ginger's compounds disrupted multiple stages of the cancer growth cycle rather than just one, making resistance more difficult for abnormal cells to develop. When these three ingredients are combined in a single warm beverage, they work synergistically. The curcumin reduces NF-κB activation. The EGCG reactivates apoptosis in rogue cells. The gingerols suppress prostaglandin-driven inflammation. And the warmth of the tea itself promotes vasodilation, a gentle opening of blood vessels, which improves circulation and helps these compounds reach tissues more efficiently. That's not one mechanism. That's a coordinated, multi-pathway assault on the two biggest health threats facing adults over 60, chronic inflammation and abnormal cell growth. Now, you might be wondering, does it actually matter when you drink this? Can't you just have it with breakfast? You can. But nighttime gives you a significant biological advantage, and here's why. Between roughly 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., your body enters its deepest phase of cellular repair. Growth hormone secretion peaks during slow-wave sleep. Your lymphatic system, the network that drains waste and toxins from your tissues, becomes dramatically more active. Your brain's glymphatic system, discovered only in 2012 by researchers at the University of Rochester, flushes out metabolic waste products at a rate 10 times higher during sleep than during waking hours. When you consume anti-inflammatory and pro-apoptotic compounds 30 to 45 minutes before sleep, those compounds are circulating in your bloodstream right as your body shifts into repair mode. They arrive at inflamed tissues precisely when your repair mechanisms are most active. The curcumin calms the inflammatory environment. The EGCG marks damaged cells for destruction. The ginger eases the prostaglandin cascade that would otherwise keep you in a low-level pain state through the night. Many seniors report waking with stiff, aching joints. That morning stiffness is partly a result of inflammatory chemicals accumulating overnight while repair processes struggle to keep pace. Drinking this tea before bed essentially gives your repair systems cleaner working conditions, less interference, less inflammatory noise. After 7 consecutive nights, many people notice tangible differences. Less morning stiffness, deeper sleep, improved digestion, and a general feeling of lightness that's difficult to describe but unmistakable once you experience it. If you're over 60 or if you're caring for an elderly parent or loved one, this information could genuinely change the quality of their daily life. I'd ask you to keep watching. We're about to cover the exact recipe and preparation method, but I'd also ask you to share this video with someone who needs it. Sometimes the most important health advice doesn't come from a doctor's office. It comes from a family member who cared enough to send a link. Here's the recipe. It's simple, inexpensive, and takes about 10 minutes. You'll need 1 cup of filtered water, 1 teaspoon of grated fresh turmeric root, or half a teaspoon of organic turmeric powder, 1 green tea bag or 1 teaspoon of loose leaf green tea, a 1-inch piece of fresh ginger root, peeled and thinly sliced, a small pinch of ground black pepper, about 1/8 of a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of raw honey, optional, added after brewing, never during boiling, a squeeze of fresh lemon juice, also optional, but it aids curcumin stability. Preparation steps. Bring the water to a gentle boil in a small saucepan. Not a rolling, aggressive boil, just small bubbles breaking the surface. Add the turmeric and ginger slices. Reduce heat to low and let it simmer for 6 to 7 minutes. This extraction time matters. Curcumin and gingerols are released slowly through heat exposure, and rushing this step leaves active compounds locked inside the plant fibers. After simmering, remove the saucepan from heat. Drop in the green tea bag or loose leaves and let it steep for 3 minutes. Not 5, not 10. 3. Oversteeping green tea releases excess tannins, which create bitterness and can cause stomach discomfort in sensitive individuals, especially on an empty or near-empty evening stomach. Strain everything through a fine mesh sieve into your favorite mug. Add the pinch of black pepper. Stir. If you'd like sweetness, drizzle in the honey now that the liquid has cooled slightly below boiling. Heat above 140 degrees. Fahrenheit degrades the beneficial enzymes in raw honey. A small squeeze of lemon brightens the flavor and helps stabilize the curcumin molecules in the acidic environment. Sip it slowly, 30 to 45 minutes before you plan to fall asleep. Don't gulp it. Let the warmth settle through your chest and stomach. Breathe. This ritual itself, the slowness, the warmth, the deliberate pause, triggers parasympathetic nervous system activation, which primes your body for deeper, more restorative sleep. Let me walk you through what most people experience across a week of consistent use. Nights 1 and 2. Subtle. You may notice you fall asleep a few minutes faster. Your stomach might feel settled in a way it usually doesn't at bedtime. Some people report mildly vivid dreams, likely connected to improved sleep cycle depth. Nights 3 and 4. The inflammation reduction becomes noticeable. Morning joint stiffness starts to ease. If you typically wake at 3 or 4 a.m. and struggle to fall back asleep, you may find those interruptions becoming shorter or disappearing altogether. Your digestion during the day may feel smoother, with less bloating after meals. Nights 5 through 7. Cumulative effects become difficult to ignore. Several compounds in this blend, particularly curcumin, build in tissue concentration with daily use. By the 5th or 6th night, the anti-inflammatory load in your muscles and joints reaches a threshold where many people describe it as waking up 10 years younger. That's anecdotal, obviously, but it's reported so consistently across user communities and clinical trial feedback that it's worth mentioning. One important caveat: if you're taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin, both turmeric and ginger have mild anticoagulant properties. This doesn't mean you can't drink the tea. It means you should mention it to your doctor so they can monitor your levels. Same applies if you're on diabetes medication, since turmeric can lower blood sugar slightly. Communication with your healthcare provider is always the safest path. The tea works on its own, but if you want to amplify its effects, a few complementary habits make a measurable difference. First, reduce sugar intake in the evening. Sugar is inflammatory. Consuming it within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime spikes insulin, disrupts sleep architecture, and directly counteracts the anti-inflammatory work the tea is doing. If you crave something sweet after dinner, a handful of dark berries, blueberries, blackberries, provides anthocyanins that actually support the same anti-inflammatory pathways. Second, keep your bedroom cool. Between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit is optimal for deep sleep. Cooler temperatures enhance growth hormone release during slow-wave sleep, which pairs beautifully with the tea's repair-supporting compounds. Third, consider gentle movement during the day. Even a 20-minute walk improves lymphatic drainage and blood circulation, which means the tea's active compounds distribute more effectively through your tissues at night. You don't need to run a marathon. A walk around the block after lunch, a few minutes of gentle stretching before your evening tea. That's enough to make a meaningful difference in how well your body utilizes what you're giving it. Fourth, consistency is everything. 1 cup on a random Tuesday won't produce what 7 consecutive nights will. The compounds accumulate. The inflammatory pathways quiet down progressively. Your sleep cycles deepen gradually. Commit to the full week. Most people who complete 7 nights continue voluntarily because the difference in how they feel is too significant to abandon. Let's bring it all together. Chronic inflammation and abnormal cell growth are the 2 most persistent health threats for adults over 60. They operate silently, progressively, and they thrive when we ignore them. But the science, published, peer-reviewed, replicated across institutions worldwide, tells us that 3 common ingredients, combined in a warm cup of tea and consumed before sleep, can meaningfully disrupt both processes. Turmeric quiets the inflammatory alarm system. Green tea reactivates the self-destruct protocol in damaged cells. Ginger blocks the pain and swelling pathways that steal your comfort and your rest. Black pepper makes the whole blend vastly more bioavailable. And nighttime consumption aligns these compounds with your body's natural repair cycle, giving them the best possible conditions to do their work. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need a complicated regimen. You need a saucepan, a few ingredients from any grocery store, 10 minutes of preparation, and the willingness to do it 7 nights in a row. Your body has been fighting for you every single day of your life. Every wound it healed, every infection it cleared, every night it rebuilt tissue and flushed toxins while you slept. This tea is your way of fighting back, of giving your body reinforcements precisely when it needs them most. You deserve restful sleep. You deserve mornings without stiffness and pain. You deserve to know that something this simple, this affordable, this grounded in real science exists and is available to you starting tonight. If this information was valuable to you, subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Share this with a friend, a spouse, a parent, a neighbor, anyone over 60 who deserves to know about this, and drop a comment below telling me, are you going to try this tonight? I read every single comment, and I'd love to hear how your 7 nights go. Take care of yourself. You're worth it. I'll see you in the next one.